Please rise and join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Morning, Des Moines County Board of Supervisors, July 20th, 2021. Are there any changes to the tentative agenda? I have none. I have none. Department heads, elected officials. Terry Johnson, Des Moines County Auditor.
Good morning. I'm gonna steal a little thunder from Becky since she's filling in for Brian, but I noticed on the highway coming in that they plan on, they're flashing their signs that they're gonna have a major lane change on Friday on Highway 61, so.
Friday.
They've got their signs up when you're coming into town, when you're leaving town, that Friday must be the big day that they're gonna switch over to some of the new lanes.
That must mean it's almost certain.
Yeah, they've got the little flashing signs up there, so I knew Brian wasn't gonna be here, so. Anyway, and the other thing is I just wanna remind, city candidates for the city of Burlington that the filing deadline is coming, or the candidate filing period is coming up soon. August the 9th through August the 26th is the Burlington city candidate filing period. They have to have at least 40 signatures, always get more, just to make sure in case somebody out of town signs that and can't be counted. And then all of the other candidates, all the other cities and the school candidates, their filing period is August the 23rd through September the 16th. And then probably early in September, I'll have to do the advertisement for the city of Burlington's lost tax. Cause we have to put just a standard advertisement or legal notice in the paper that they plan on having that on the ballot in November. And we have to do a pre-60-day notification along with the regular election notification closer to the election, so. That's it.
Thank you, Terry. Colin Gerst, IT.
Just keep them busy like always. I don't have anything new to report today. So.
Jared Lasser, Land Use.
Morning. Don't really have anything specific to mention. Just keep them busy. I know. I think Zach mentioned recently how we're starting to move forward with the ordinance updates. Having the attorney's office finish review of that, and then have to for the zoning and subdivision that'll go through the zoning commission. Public hearing before it comes to the board. For floodplain, that one's probably going to take the priority because that has a deadline for when those new maps become effective in October. So we're planning on doing a floodplain advisory board meeting just to go over the updates to that one. I sent you an invite for that, Tom. And so also Mediapolis, I met with staff at Mediapolis yesterday. They're going to need to adopt a floodplain ordinance as well, since they're the same maps from that last study now have floodplains in their city limits. So we're working with them to ensure that they get through with that in the same time frame that the county is updating ours. So apart from that, I don't have anything else to report.
Thank you, Jared. Chris Lee, Conservation.
Hi, good morning. A lot exciting going on. We actually had a few campsites open at Big Hollow this last weekend, largely due to some cancellations. So camp season's kind of hit that midsummer lull a little bit. But things have been going good. Summer camps wrap up next week. And so we are working on our annual report, and our next events are coming up. The second weekend in August, we'll have a volunteer dinner on the 13th, and then our summer celebration event on the 14th. Both those will be at Starscape. So after this meeting today, and I may have to leave a little bit early, I've got a webinar with ISAC to talk about possible ARPA funding uses for county conservation purposes. And so maybe here in a couple weeks or something, we can schedule a work session and kind of talk about that from our perspective too.
That'd be great.
Yeah. So, and I need to watch that webinar you talked about with Rob Sands. know some good information there too. So try and get all of our ducks in a row on that.
Sure.
Sit down and try to figure this thing out.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep.
Reed, you're done.
Yeah. I'm ready for that.
Ken Heinman, Community Services.
Good morning. We had our regional meetings last week. I guess one thing I would share with the board is the legislation about mental health. The advisory, yeah, you got a copy of it. The advisory board and the governing board and the CEO and the management team all sat down and worked out these issues that we still have with the current legislation and requests that we would have through the region. And so, that's about all I have for now. I won't go through this whole page of things, but basically, you know, there's just a number of things, and like the advisory board, they have a, children's advisory board has to have a pediatrician, and it's getting really hard to find a pediatrician, so some of those issues were in this paper, and some suggestions for, maybe allowing a different medical professional that's, to be on the children's advisory board that would be easier to access, so, thank you.
Ken, I seen that, I think it's posted, you know, on the eyesight about this, but, how do you think they can even get by on 5% fund balance?
Yeah, it's gonna be very hard. There's gonna be cash flow problems with a 5% fund balance. I know that it's gonna be state funding coming into us instead of, after the first year or two. It's gonna be a combination at first of our county property tax dollars and state funding, and then the county property tax dollars will phase out and state funding will be all that we'll have. It's very hard to live on 5%. I mean, it's just, I think there's gonna be cash flow issues, so that's one of the things in here.
State payments come in, rather than wait to September, or they're supposed to be in at the beginning of fiscal year. So that's one of the big things about fund balance, is your fiscal year begins, as you well know, July 1st, but you don't get any taxes until September 30th, actually the middle of October, so you have to go 3 months without any fund balance. That's why the state money's supposed to come in at the beginning of the fiscal year. But it does away with Fund 10, which is how we pay, every county pays their community, you know, mental health and disability services staff. So it isn't particularly clear that they want the region to employ them, or anyway, but that's a question. So yeah, there's
You're working on 25% of your fiscal year on a 5% fund balance, basically what it amounts to.
Well, that's under the
And
current
that's-
system.
Yes,
Yeah, and
and
that's why the
Yep.
state, rather than having to wait till,
Yep.
so yeah, you wouldn't have to go 3 months.
I hate to count on the state like
Oh,
this roll back.
I'm not disagreeing, there's a problem, but that's their solution to that one particular problem.
Thanks, Ken.
yeah, thanks.
I see you back there, Natalie Stepner, Moines County Recorder.
Good morning, just business as usual, nothing new to report.
Thank you, Natalie. Lisa Schaefer, Des Moines County Attorney.
Same for us, still getting the final plans for National Night Out on August 3rd taken care of. Otherwise, just keeping up with keeping up.
This is your 2-week push, isn't it, for?
For a bit, yeah, and then we'll have another one in January, so.
Thank you, Lisa. Kevin Glendenning, Des Moines County Sheriff.
Good morning. No major news to report. The jail population's still doing well. We're at 64. So we're holding strong there, and everything else is going well.
You know, 64 is good for what it was 2 years ago at this time, so.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Hopefully we can see that remain, and our crime rate hasn't it is doing well. Our jail population is doing well, so we're pretty excited about that.
Thank you, Kevin. Krista Poggemiller, Public Health.
Good morning. We're continuing to be busy. Today and tomorrow, we will have those extended hours at our public health for either immunizations or COVID vaccines. And so on Tuesday, today and tomorrow till 6:30. And then starting next week, we're going to permanently on Tuesdays have our hours extended to 6:30 because we did see some interest last week. So we're excited that people are taking advantage of the increased hours. We also have the COVID take-home tests, so people can come to our office and pick up those tests. We are asking people who are coming to pick up COVID tests to remain in their car, call us, because obviously we want to limit any exposure to anyone else in our waiting room since we don't have a very large lobby area. So, but we have those available and people can take those tests home and then either send them in or bring them back to us and we will ship them to SHL, State Hygienic Lab, so. But other than that, we're just keeping busy.
Thank you, Krista. Becky Purchett. Fortunately, we have you instead of Brian for secondary roads.
Yep, I'll keep it a little shorter than that.
That won't take much.
No, we're just working on projects and summer maintenance like normal, so staying busy.
Chairman, Lori had a question for Krista, she didn't get answered.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Krista, I've noticed on the state website, all of a sudden it shows Iowa at 0%. What's the plan for that?
So because Test Iowa has closed down, that, and now it's the take-home tests, we're not gonna have that percentage as far as the number of cases.
Matt Warren,
Morning.
Warren County Assessor.
Nothing new to report, just here for a couple agenda items.
Okay. Brandy's with,
Yeah, Brandy would be
with you.
Yeah, for
Oh,
a bit.
okay. I thought maybe she was gonna tell us the real story.
She did.
Thank you, Matt. We got anybody on that? No. Okay. Correspondence.
Highest correspondence, but Mr. Stonehoff is here, so he'll address that during the public comment.
Okay. Do you have any correspondence?
No, sir.
Okay, we will proceed to discussion and vote. We have accounts payable in the amount of $941,656.31.
Move approved.
Second.
Terry?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes. This would be Matt. We've got approval of the 2021 homestead credits and military exemptions. Move to approve.
Second?
I see here there's one homestead credit denied. That's it.
Yeah, on that, it was just the person that filed for the homestead credit actually hadn't taken title to the property by July 1st.
Okay.
So we had to deny it, and they have the ability to reapply once they, fully become owner of that property.
Okay. Thank you. Terry?
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes. I need to sign the denial, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And we have approval of the Assessor's 2021 Disabled Veterans Exemptions. And I see that 2 were removed or denied.
Yeah, there have been 2 denied. They just didn't qualify for being 100% disabled from a service-connected disability.
Move approved.
Second.
Terry?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes. And finally, approval of the assessor's 2021 business property tax credits.
Move approved.
Second.
Terry?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes.
There was, should have been one denial on there.
Yep, there is one denial.
We've got a number here.
Sorry.
That's fine. Okay, so we have one denial.
Yeah, and that was, business property tax credit is for commercial and industrial class properties. Somebody had submitted a claim or a form for a multi-residential class property. It just doesn't qualify.
And we have mobile home tax abatements. The treasurer's office sent this up. Janelle was unable to make it, but these are mobile homes that are removed from the mobile home courts, whether they're dismantled or demolished or burned, or they're no longer there to tax. So
Cleaned it up.
we can clean up her records.
Move to approve.
Second.
Terry?
Shane McCampbell,
Yes, please.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes. Personnel actions. We have one personnel action for the assessor's office, Brandy Martin. A promotion from administrative assistant to deputy assessor. Congratulations, Brandy.
Move approved.
Second.
Previous rate was $47,880. The new rate is $56,302. Terry?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yep.
Tom Broker.
Yes.
Congratulations.
We have one personnel action for the county attorney, Trent Hankelbeck, assistant county attorney, unpaid time for a prepaid vacation scheduled prior to hire date, July 21st, July 22nd, and July 23rd.
Move to approve.
Second.
Terry?
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes. Have a good time, Trent.
Take your golf club. So take your golf club with you?
No, we're going to the lake,
Oh.
Lake Michigan.
Okay. We,
I don't have a surfboard, so I bring a fishing pole.
I wanna see Trent hanging 10.
Right on. We have two personnel actions for the correctional center. We have Holly Carpenter, full-time correctional officer, a 12-month step increase. Previous rate was $40,895.52 a year. The new rate is $41,928.92 a year. And Brenda Schnedler, full-time correctional officer, resignation from full-time. The last day was July 3rd, moved to part-time correctional officer on July 4th, 2021. Previous rate was $44,559.59. The new rate is $19.04 an hour.
move to approve both of them.
Second.
Terry?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes. Finally, we have a resignation. Secondary roads, Robert Moore, maintenance. Resigned effective July 15th. I guess July 14th. Fine with that.
Move to approve.
Second?
Terry?
Shan Campbell,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yeah.
Tom Broker.
Yes. We have reports. We have the clerk of courts report for fees collected in June 2021. We have the Dewey Byard Trust quarterly report for the quarter ending June 30th, 2021, and the Sheriff's Monthly Report for June 2021. These reports will be on file at the auditor's office and available for public review. And we have minutes for the regular meeting of July 13th.
Move to approve?
Second. Terry?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shan Campbell,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes. Any other business?
I have none.
Well, I do. Tom? Jimmy, you guys know when I ran for this seat, part of my running was community, you know. I mean, obviously, that's no surprise. But we don't have a community county day where we can bring people in the county together. And so I wanted to bring this up as business. And I'm hoping that you guys will at least entertain us so we can have a work session. But the city, every year we have city days where we invite the community together. City has tables set up, stuff like that, you know, vendors, all kinds of stuff, so that people can get a chance to meet people from the city, and it kind of builds community. Just last meeting, we had a gentleman, I don't know if it was last meeting, but we had a gentleman come down, and he says, man, I've got water coming down from somebody else's property into mine. It's kind of hard to build community there when he's coming in that way, or the guy that says my neighbor's poop is running into my yard. But when we can get vendors and some music, some activities, not costing the county much, and I even thought we could do it where each Des Moines County, each city could be a representative for every year. You know, we'd move to a different city in Des Moines County. But I want to run this by people. I want you to seriously consider, because I want all of Des Moines County to be a part of that, even with the dunk tank, you know, that we can dunk Tom Broker, put you in the water.
There's the real reason.
Unfortunately, I think this position gives me veto power.
But even have a dunk tank so that you can put Des Moines County underwater as we try to keep the residents above it. But I think it's needed, and that's what I'm pushing for. And I'd like to have a work session about it, but I wanted to bring it to you guys first to see if you guys say, nah, we don't want none of that, McCampbell. You're nuts. But I think it'd be a great event. I think it's needed in Des Moines County, and I hope you guys consider that.
Doesn't sound like a bad idea. That's, I
like the idea.
well, I'd like to see you in the dunk tank.
No, I'm not getting in the dunk tank. I'm gonna practice my.
Terry's already committed to be the first one. And everybody that gets dunked gets their own music before you go to the tank.
Jaws.
Right. Anyways, I'll be working on the details on that, and I'm hoping we can have an annual event. I think it would be fantastic for Des Moines County.
Okay, that's
Sounds good.
just give Terry, and when you think it's convenient, or you got what you need to have a work session, it sounds great.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
see all them hands go up back there.
Any other
Qualify for the
business?
dunk tank.
Somebody's cussing me. I think Natalie's the main one. I can feel it.
Carter's going in, I can tell you that, he's not here. Reese's going in.
No, I'm
Might
gonna
take
save my
4
money
of
for
us.
my tickets.
Well, you may have to get dunked too, but we'll talk about it later.
Might take 3 or 4 of us to lift Carter up, put him in there, maybe he'll go in one way or the other.
There should be a vote of who goes in.
I think since Brian and Doug both aren't here.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I think they should
Doug's
be
in.
first.
What?
Yes,
Doug's
Doug's
in.
in.
I suspect he's the sheriff's representative.
I tried to get the sheriff for my workers' fair to get you dunked, but you were on vacation, so you got.
I saw you had to
That
cancel
was a
that.
slick move, man, that you pulled. God bless you.
Trent, you picked a bad day to come with your boss because she just is going to nominate you for that. Is that right, Lisa?
Pardon?
You'll nominate Trent for the dunk tank, won't you?
Sure.
Nominate or assign?
I have the ability to just assign.
That's what I thought.
It's called voluntold.
Okay, future agenda items. Committee reports.
Well, I had a Board of Health meeting, but Krista reported on that. That was nice. I had a conservation meeting, and Chris reported on that, which that's nice. So, just remember what they said. And then I had a rural utility service meeting, and things are going pretty smooth over there. We are going to have to put a shut off in, and that's at a cost of $4,950. It is for delinquent payer, and that's over in Ollie. But we're gonna send a notice to them. Normally, when we send a notice, we're gonna shut their sewer off. They pay within the next 2 or 3 days.
Is that in Jefferson County?
Yeah, yeah. So, but, I hate to see that, but they are responsible, they signed, you know, with the government on that, so it is their responsibility. It's kinda like if you don't pay your car payment, they take your car. This way, if you don't make your sewer payment, they give you your stuff back.
You don't enforce rules.
Give you your stuff back.
You don't enforce rules, they're just
Yep.
a suggestion.
I had a youth development board meeting, nothing to report, and also a workforce CEO meeting again. It's the same thing, we're just trying to make sure that we have more say in how we spend our money for our region. So that's about it. And then also we did have the Iowa Works Workforce Development Fair out to had to be moved to the mall because of the weather, didn't want to cooperate, but it was still a phenomenal event. We had a nice showing. I saw Leah there. Actually, I didn't see Leah there.
I saw you there.
But anyways, it was a fantastic event, and a lot of people showed up. I talked to people. It took me an hour to get into the mall because people were coming out that had already gone through the process and that I knew, and they were saying, "Yeah, I've got a resume. You know, and just some excited people that they're getting some things done. There's over 1,000 jobs in Des Moines County. Get a job." That's it.
Thank you. I attended the Southeast Iowa Mental Health meeting, so I described what I can with, we approved claims, and then like Ken mentioned, we approved a letter to the state requesting modifications and clarifications to the recent mental health legislation. And the Disaster Relief Organization hadn't had a meeting in several years, and we had a tabletop exercise that was supposed to be a disaster in Des Moines County with a tornado and a flood combined. And we had real IT problems, so it started out just like a real disaster would. We're trying to figure out how to communicate with anybody. But finally we got that solved, and typically we were just looking for resources and where those resources could be obtained and how they could be obtained, and making sure we have contact numbers for people that can provide those resources. I suspect we'll be having more meetings coming up.
There is one thing I forgot on county health, I don't think Chris mentioned, don't we have a drill coming up August 18th, 19th, and 20th?
That's September 18th, 19th, 20th.
Is that September?
Yep.
The 18th,
from Burlington
19th,
North
20th?
and Santa Fe, yep. And then we were going to set up the tent in advance of that, so we're working on having a mobile drive-through clinic sometime in August.
Okay.
Just prepare for that drill in September.
Kind of a drill.
The drill for, it's a hazardous, waste drill that Gina's putting on with the hospital and, Burlington Northern, so it would be a chemical spill, and then the fire department, and they will be doing the walkthrough on that hazardous spill to be able to decontaminate, and then the hospital is looking at even transporting people to the hospital for 10 victims, just to kind of run the whole drill through and do the decontamination chambers and things. It'll be interesting, more information to follow.
I make the motion that Shane gets transported.
Why do you wanna kill me, Jimmy? It's just getting here. Hey, I forgot what, too.
I'm somewhat familiar with that. Years ago, when more safety rules were brought into effect in hazardous waste, or hazardous bodily, whatever they called it. I remember working at Monsanto, and there were apparently a couple of people up there that chewed tobacco. Wherever they would spit, they would send in a hazmat team. Everybody would go through training again.
Good times, everybody.
Yeah, good times.
Chairman, I do have one more. There's a pilot program that they're starting. You can get in contact with Kyle Moser, but it's with the fire department. They're starting a fire academy, copying off of our sheriff's department. Just kidding. But it's a good deal. It's September 9th to October 28th. You can turn in your application at 418 Valley Street at the Citizens Fire Academy. So those that are interested, I just want to make sure I get that out there as well. That's it this time.
Public input. If anybody from the public would like to ask a question or make a comment, you may email the Board of Supervisors at board@dmcounty.com. That's BOARD@dmcounty.com, or call 319-753-8203, extension 4. That's 319-753-8203, extension 4. We'll give you a couple minutes to initiate that email or phone call. While we're waiting, is there anybody in attendance who would like to make a comment? If you'd introduce your name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, my name is Carl Stoneoff. I live at 2144 Baker's Landing Road, Oakville, Iowa. I have an Oakville address, but I live in Des Moines County. Okay, I have the same problem he has, Mr. McCampbell, with the sewer problem running down on his property and all that. Only it's my own water that I can't get rid of due to the fact that there's an obstruction in the drainage ditch on my property that extends, of course, on down the river. My property is located in a drainage district. We pay taxes for that privilege to pump water, of course, back into the Mississippi River to maintain those ditches and everything. But I have about a 1 foot or better obstruction underneath Meeker's Landing Road. Your secondary roads people know about it. I've had this problem for over 30 years when the road was constructed. And of course, the culvert that was put underneath the road was improperly instructed back in the days that road was prepared for paving. It was paved in the early 80s. It was brought up to grade and everything in the 70s. And I have tile now that is failing due to the fact this tile is, of course, clay tile. That's all you can get in those days. Well, I have to replace that tile, or otherwise my farm is virtually, probably some of the areas not farmable. And so I've contacted a tile person they are on site. They're getting ready to go within the month, put in new tile and everything. But I have this one, or I have the instruction that goes underneath Meeker's Landing Road of about 1 foot. The present tile, the discharges are underwater. That meaning it's hard to make things drain when it rains, and I have excess water on my property. There's other property north of me, Meekers and Knowles and other ones, that their water, of course, runs down this ditch also. Anyway, I've asked Mr. Carter before, and he said we'd maybe try to push a culvert underneath that to lower that level, because the pavement is too expensive to cut up and replace that culvert and everything. And I do this on about a 10-year basis. And so there's 10 years been going by and nothing has happened.
Can I get that
So
address
I'm
again, please?
back to a point now where I've got to do something with my tile. And so here I am. What do I do?
Could we have
It's
the address?
illegal to hold up water, downstream flowing water. And ask your attorney.
Can you repeat your address again, please?
Do what? My name is Carl
Your address, please?
Stoneoff, 2144 Meeker's Landing Road. I'd like to show you my situation. You can visibly see what's happening. If Mr. Carter was here, he'd probably have some comments.
See, Mr. Carter's assistant's here, will you relay that to Brian?
I wrote everything down. I know that they've been out there before.
Yeah.
I can, when I get back to the office, I'll touch base with one of the superintendents and see if he remembers what they'd come up with. And I don't know, Brian was remoted in, but I don't think he's on there now, so.
Probably, go ahead.
I think that's probably kind of a bump right there too, isn't it?
Now, the bump, they did repair the bump last year.
Yeah.
That was there for 7 years.
Okay.
I think a little neglect is going on. This pavement was put in 40 years ago, and virtually very little maintenance has been done to it. Mr. Carter's well aware of all the wrong things that were done at that time. Evidently, Whitey Clausen kind of dropped the ball and didn't have an engineer on the job as things were put in the ground, because there are numerous culverts that go onto this road. Water has to flow from north to south in the drainage district in order to do its job in a proper way and everything. And it flows at about a rate of 1 foot of fall per mile. And I've lost that 1 foot. My property's 1 mile long, and I can't make the water go the other way.
Could I have your phone number, Mr. Stoneoff?
Yeah.
Phone number?
Yeah, my phone number is area 319-937-5303.
5303?
Yeah, I also have a cell phone, which is 515-321-1181.
Three 937-5305 and 515-321-1181.
Right.
I will give you a call. I think,
I would like to have an on-site meeting with.
I agree with you. Brian isn't here right now, so I can't very well he needs to be there.
I know it's expensive to do a lateral bore. I know it's expensive to cut pavement.
And I agree we should have an on-site meeting. I think the board should agree that we're willing to do that.
Yeah.
But we need Brian Carter there. And anyway, he's not here. He's.
I think you might have disconnected there.
Hello?
Brian, are you there? Oh, you just disconnected. I apologize. I think he was hopping on here, but I think he just disconnected, so I apologize.
We will set up a time with you and with
Yeah.
Mr. Carter.
Yeah,
There we go.
Oh, wait a second.
yeah, I've got planned vacation from this Thursday to the 1st of August now.
We'll work around your schedule. So you'll be gone from Thursday through August
First,
1st?
right.
You're gonna take Bert with you?
Yeah,
Okay, you
we
want to
got
give
tractor
them
rides
to
in
Oh, that's right.
eastern Illinois and
Yeah.
Wisconsin. Very beautiful in Wisconsin. We climbed, hard to put that up. Yeah.
Taking that one you showed me you redid?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been an ongoing thing
I'll let you talk
for
to Colin here,
both
just one
my
second.
tenant
He's trying to get connected.
and myself, that, we just, water can't flow, because the outlets are underwater at the present time.
Okay, sounds good.
And
All right, thanks.
we've got the lowest river stage right now we've ever had. And of course, these ditches kind of go up and down with the river stage, because basically it's an aquifer with some dirt on it, and we farm this dirt. There's about 49,000 acres of ground that is taxed, above and beyond the property tax. We pay a levy tax, we pay a drainage tax.
Is a Monday.
And now we're becoming, the Corps of Engineers is wanting to back out of the responsibility of the levy. And so we're having to maintain the levy, and so our taxes are going up. And here I'm in a situation where I've got kind of a dam that's not holding things back.
I think Brian's trying to get connected.
I think
Brian's trying to get through today.
he's trying to.
He's not on there yet. I'm waiting to see if he.
Don't you say you're gonna be gone
Through this Thursday,
until the 1st of August?
until the 1st of August.
Wonder if we might be able to 3rd of
Mr.
August.
Finchel, grab a seat.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we
You
can.
can.
Okay, my audio is not real great, so I apologize. Let me know if you have issues. Is it right for me to speak?
Go ahead, we're listening.
Okay. First, I'd like to say thanks to Mr. Stonoff for coming down. Sorry I couldn't be there today. It would have been a lot more efficient for me to be there, but I know exactly what he's talking about. We've had many conversations on the subject, so I'll lay it out for how it was left, I guess is how I would put it. The culvert, Mr. Stonoff summarized it very well. The culvert was put in back when they graded Baker's Landing, obviously a long time ago. He would actually remember that better than me, clearly, but late 70s. I guess the way it was brought to me, and he's right, it's probably been 10 years ago. I think it might have even started before that as far as the conversation. We've met on site, we've talked. I've gone to Levy and Drainage District board meetings in the past on this exact topic, because it's not just Mr. Stonoff's property. There are other properties upstream, and as everybody knows, drainage in that area is always a challenge. So I don't do much of anything down there without conversation with the Levy and Drainage District. And so to summarize everything, I guess there is a culvert in that location under Baker's Landing. It has been there for a long, long time. Mr. Stonoff feels like it's 2 foot or 1 foot too high. And that hasn't changed. And it's been there for that long. And the main reason Mr. Stonoff wants it lowered is for his house to drain better. And I acknowledge that. And so after multiple meetings on this topic, like I said, with Mr. Stonoff and with the other folks down there, and actually I'm not so sure we didn't have an on-site meeting involving some board members also, but it's just been too long, I can't remember. The offer that I extended to both Mr. Stonoff and to the Levy District, I guess in this case back then it would have been the Drainage District, but they're combined now, was that there would be some benefit to the county, but to put a new culvert underneath, but truly the big benefit here would be to the upstream landowners for improved drainage, which is always the goal of landowners in the bottoms. And there'd probably be some benefit to the Levy and Drainage District also. So the offer that was extended, I'd say roughly 10 years ago, was that I would be willing to pay a third, or the county would be willing to pay a third of the cost of having somebody come in and basically bore a new, or an additional is probably a better way to put it, the crossword pipe underneath Meeker's Landing. Everything else, Mr. Stonehouse said is correct. By the time you get into the expense of removing concrete, digging the hole as deep as it would need to be, and putting a new culvert, it's really not cost effective to do it that way. I know my memory is that way back when, which I'm sure is no longer accurate, the total cost was probably approaching $9,000 was an estimate that we had at one time anyway. So I have, I think it'd be great to schedule an on-site meeting. I don't have any problem with that. It's a different board of supervisors now. And so it'd be good to meet down there to get everybody up to speed. But the reason there's been nothing done is not due to inactivity on my behalf. The reason nothing's been done is because nobody wanted to pick up the cost match, or the whatever you want to call it, 2/3 of the cost of the project. And so that gives you a little bit more background on the subject. And when I get back and have an opportunity, I'll certainly get a hold of Mr. Stonehouse and anybody else, and we can schedule a meeting whenever the board's available.
What do we have on for August the 3rd? That was a
August.
handbook?
Yeah, the handbook, we'll have that.
On the 3rd?
Yeah.
How about the following week then?
What works best for you, morning or afternoon? Does afternoon work okay?
Afternoons, morning, I'm an early riser, I'm up at 4.
Well, I guess the only thing is we've got, on the 3rd of August, we've got a work session scheduled. We're gonna have work sessions on that American Rescue Plan. We've got some, Mr. Fensel's here today, so we'll be, but those will mostly be in the morning. So if we scheduled something after lunch to either meet out there or go out there, does that work? Well, on a 3rd or some Tuesday, whatever.
On the 3rd, get it.
Does that work for you? We'll get a hold of you, or Brian will get a hold of you, and we will be out there sometime in the afternoon of the 3rd.
When does Brian return from vacation here now?
He'll be
I
back
think
Monday.
he gets back next week.
Oh, okay. I will be home Monday and Tuesday of next week. I'll return home from one place and then we leave for another. But I'll be home Monday and Tuesday of next week.
What do we have next week? Oh, I know, we have it with the Southeast Iowa Regional Planning on the.
Yes, we have
ARP.
regional planning, and then I thought I think it's just regional planning.
But we
And-
could do it in the afternoon.
In the afternoon, next Tuesday.
Could we make it Tuesday afternoon?
Tuesday afternoon, we'll get back to you with the time, or, and we'll meet you out there.
Let Mr. Carter have a day to get back from vacation.
Well, yeah, anyway, just let us check our calendars to make sure we aren't overcommitting ourselves, maybe,
Yeah, I'll put that day on my calendar,
sometime
sometime that afternoon.
But it'd be sometime that afternoon,
Yeah, hope it don't rain.
That afternoon, either Tuesday afternoon works for me just fine. I'll make whatever work.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Brian.
Because they can't go the Tuesday
You know,
of
so work for that day.
I've got your phone number.
Yeah.
We'll
2
get
o'clock,
hold of you
something in the
and
afternoon.
give you a
that'd be
time.
fine.
Probably between 1 and 2 on the mansion. I think that's probably the best time.
Right.
We have that meeting and then they give us time to grab a sandwich before we come out.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll try to prepare the site, because I know it's grown up in weeds on the ditch banks and that, so that we can see actually what is there. You know, I'll try to prepare the area or have my tenant do it, you know.
Well, I was thinking you have Bert do that.
Yeah.
Somewhere I said that too.
Yeah.
I'll contact Mike Norris and see how long he thinks it might.
Yeah.
It's gonna be an interesting conversation. I don't think anybody's got a handle on it.
And
We'll be out there
if
Tuesday
Brian
afternoon.
has someone to come with him with a GPS elevation unit so that they could check levels so that you can see what differential and, the ditches are,
Ryan, can you hear that?
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that at the same time we're having a meeting. If we're gonna do some elevation and stuff, I'll have my surveyor go down there before or after, but there's no reason to muddle up a meeting with him trying to get around and get surveyed. That's not a quick process by the time you hike up and down banks and everything else. I'm not disputing there's a difference, although I can give some more background on that also.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll see you.
I can have the surveyor go down and grab some elevations before we have our meeting.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Tuesday about 1, 2 o'clock, that'll work.
But we'll give you a call,
In case something
in
happens.
case it would be a little later than that. I don't think it'd be a problem with Tuesday afternoon unless it's pouring down rain. Just, we are gonna have a work session that might be a little longer than usual. So, I don't wanna tell you we're gonna be there at 1 o'clock and then have it running. So that we aren't gonna get out of here till 1:30.
I'll keep the whole day open.
Well, we'll give you a call.
Yeah, okay. Sounds
Okay.
great.
Thank you, Mr. Stonehoff, for coming and explaining
Yeah.
this to you. We will look forward to seeing you in a week.
I'll just stay for the rest of your meeting. This is kind of
Oh,
interesting.
well, and you're just about to the end of it. Well, unless you want to sit through the work sessions, you're one of the few people that ever expressed any joy out of sitting. Anyway, so, thank you, sirs. Any other public input? Okay, with seeing no further input, with an aye, we're adjourned.
Aye.
Aye. And we will have a work session in 5 minutes with the recorder, the county sheriff. And following that, we'll have a work session with Mr. Fentzel from Danville Telecom regarding broadband and the American Rescue Plan.
Thanks, Tony.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'll talk to the sheriff there.
Thanks, Brian.
I had to email yesterday, after that, booked out several weeks.
Well, your granddad and I worked together at the water.
Oh, you did?
And Gabe was distribution supervisor. I was plant supervisor.
It's not the I live. I said you weren't making significant changes.
We probably worked together probably for over 25 years. Did you? Yeah. So Gabe and I spent a lot of time in conventions together. Spent a lot of time.
You're out secondary roads, you're out of.
Yeah, right,
Well, I probably did, I just, might have been long ago enough that I just don't remember.
Driving around.
That's fine.
We career that every day there's a new problem. Either employees or problem, weather problem,
Stuff like this, yeah.
Shane, read the highlighted sentence.
We got this.
Great.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Read the highlighted sentence.
Maybe a problem.
Because they didn't want to do anything in person.
Right, so we closed last year.
Well, I need extra employees, or if you need something, or you needed a truck driver or something, whatever the same, wintertime employees, make the same house. Because we want to do a plan. So while we have some employees back and forth.
That's great to hear, that perspective, yeah. I remember it being quite ornery and a lot of.
Oh, yeah, very ornery, yeah. And then, that was kind of the thing that I think really kept us going, but, you've got, like you get the president, right? I think she's the vice president. I had one problem that had, some that had family problems.
Because I think
And some of them that couldn't.
there was a meeting one time where you weren't there and then she ran a meeting.
Putting out fires and trying to keep everybody happy.
Yeah, trying to keep
And I know
everybody happy.
one of the things
Ben's
I've
always
learned is
just all
that it's a
over
big
that
part of the position, is just trying to keep people happy.
I don't want to
Yeah.
have him do it again because it's always been, Ben is always
Yeah,
been.
wouldn't have gotten Joe,
But I think
Joe didn't like one another, and, well, because somebody else followed somebody else, but
Trying to get
get out there as
You wanna rotate as a cleaning station?
because
I
don't
time
know. I just sat here a couple of
constraints.
days and I'm like,
You know, and he just
Are they
cut
all
it.
this way now?
Give 5 years or something, that's it, if I could get somebody, don't change the maybe maintenance man or something like that.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Keep it fair, keep them happy, keep it interesting.
So that would be next spring.
Yeah,
That would be good.
there's a lot of administration.
I know.
I started out as, you know,
But if you were to take
on
on
maintenance.
maintenance,
You know, I had 2 other guys, you know, that wasn't bad.
I don't know.
Because
he is active and he is.
We'll work this after dinner and do something like that.
Yeah.
You got
Sometimes it feels that way, you feel like, I don't know that I got any real work done.
City's goal.
I feel like answering phones and emails and not firing all day long.
probably lucky because when I had farm that inherited part of
That's what, we raise cattle, we got a place to work. Just, we keep 10 cows and bulls and that's what I did, hanging out with quite honestly, chasing cattle.
That's great, I have something like that, but I was gonna say, there's, where I said, while you were pissed off and everything else,
that works.
they figured out what they're gonna do.
And I don't do it now. Or during your
Well,
windows,
you know,
I know, I am too.
I bet.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bring the best out of people.
Yeah, and try to find out
Hey,
the
Jared.
get the
Did
best.
Sarah make it into work this morning?
I haven't been in the office today. What?
Gabe and I had a lot of.
We're just on
It's
vacation.
really good to meet you.
Oh,
We
okay.
got back last night.
Oh.
Have a great day.
Where were we at?
We went to Panama City.
Oh.
How we doing, sir?
How you doing?
He's
You
there.
got the tongue.
Yeah,
you're real good.
I'm
Huh?
on vacation. I think she was there last week.
Left Thursday.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Well, how was it?
I like that.
Ah,
There was 8 of us girls that went. We met
Okay.
together. So, yeah, we all
Decent
went
weather,
to
not
high
too-
school
and then-
together,
Yeah.
so.
If we're successful, then
Yeah.
we're gonna talk.
But I know she said she goes back for a couple days and she like goes to Charleston. Charleston to see the kids, so, yeah.
What? Charleston? Oh,
I think she's back Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
okay.
I know how you did ours, because you went from work.
All right.
Better make her work hard for those 3 days.
Yeah.
Just pop it up.
All right.
Looking at going over to Lowell and going from Lowell all the way up to New London. And then up to New London and not do anything that serve.
No jury duty? The guy decided to leave it for us.
Just above where we're doing now.
My husband was. I had him on my jury duty.
Called him last week about that thing I was concerned about with the
county recorder, the county attorney, and the sheriff regarding the ATV, UTV ordinance number 56 update. You want to start Natalie or Trent?
Natalie can start.
Okay.
I guess I kind of wanted to get together, I might have misspoken when I said there were some changes in the reference guide. There's just one little, difference, I guess, in the, definition of an ATV. And it's just the weight. I was reading like the wrong paragraph, I was comparing something, so.
Our ordinance should match the state's definition of
Right, so-
UTV, so.
Yeah, so just on the ATV, that's, not less than 1,200 pounds now is what it does state. So the definition, number one, for an all-terrain vehicle on our ordinance, sentence 4. Total dry weights to less than, that should be 1,200 pounds from 1,000 pounds. And that is on page 4 in the DNR reference guide, which I think Terry may have printed you guys that, so.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
So you're changing that 1,000 pounds to what?
1,200.
1,200 pounds.
And I was reading, I thought there was more than that for
Uh-huh.
a change, but that's the only thing that I.
The new definition also doesn't have flotation tire, which.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was the, I
Oh,
still
yeah,
don't even
I drew that.
understand why that was.
I'm not sure either.
I missed that.
Is the flotation tire on our definition or the state's?
It's on our definition, but the new state definition doesn't have flotation tire.
Yes.
We should probably, Trent, should our definition match the state definition, I would assume.
Well, by reading through both of them, one of the things they kind of try to delineate is an ATV, UTV is not a snowmobile. So I don't know if that's what they're trying to get at from that. But at the state level, they're not considering a snowmobile, ATV, UTV, that's a different animal all by itself.
Understandable, I agree with that. I think if I remember right, we didn't use that because of that snowmobile at that time. I think that's why we put the flotation tires on. You wasn't here at the time, was you, Kevin?
I was not, no.
Yeah. Do you remember that, Don?
No, I don't. I remember some of the discussion, I do not remember that.
I think.
Okay, this is, we've got here, let's summarize it.
Is it UTV?
Oh, here it says one, a motorized flotation tire vehicle with not less than.
Right, I'm sure they took the definition, I would think, right, Kevin, right from
Yeah.
the DNRs.
To have them be different would just cause confusion for people.
Okay, so we actually need to, this needs to match the state then, I would assume, so. Is any other, we haven't had any problems with it, have we, with them? No, I asked you fairly.
There are some learning curves initially,
Exactly.
just learning that if this was a county ordinance and it was for county roads, that cities could adopt their own ordinances and that you need to abide by those independently of the county ordinance. We just educated the public, but everybody was real receptive of it and it went really well.
I know there was some concern at the time, in the levy district to keep those things off the levies. And I have never heard that that's been a problem.
It has not been, it has been, and no greater than it was at the time, and, you know, we dealt with levy issues over the years, and I can't recall over the last several years any major issue with damage to the levy, and 10 years ago, I recall several. So it hasn't been an uptick in those issues.
So really all we need to do is just reword the definition to match the state definition.
And our amendment could basically state that, because we don't have to do the whole amendment, just the amendment for the definition. So then that way we aren't having to
Is that the
publish the
easiest
whole
way to do
thing.
that?
I would think so, and that way we don't have to publish the whole ordinance all over
Yes.
again.
Yes, let's do that.
Remember at the time we was going through all this, We had a gentleman come in one, know why we didn't do these off-road trail bike motorcycles.
Yeah.
And that's when I remember the tire issue came up on that.
Okay, I sort of remember that.
Yeah.
I guess that would be the only thing for definition. I mean, this section 5, the registration requirements and conditions. I guess I have a couple suggestions, or I would like, right now, we require them to fill out this application. So every year, every time they renew or buy a new one, and we require them to give us a copy of proof of insurance. To me, it's more work. A lot of people don't have their proof of insurance with them, so we allow them to just call the insurance agent and go ahead and email or fax us something. A lot of counties don't require this application and to physically give us proof of insurance.
What other counties do? They don't require that?
A lot of them do not.
Does the DNR require that?
No.
It does, and so if you look at kind of the thing that I did put out was for section 5. I kind of put it in para A, but it goes to para A and para 2. Basically, because we allow for out-of-state ones to take the place of the Iowa DNR, then we don't know if those other states require insurance. So if we want to require that they have liability insurance, yet allow them to come from out of state, the only way to do that is to check it ourselves. So if they have Iowa DNR, it is required now by the Iowa DNR that they have liability insurance, very similar. And I didn't look at all the lines, but I mean, very similar to ours. So I think if they have the DNR sticker, they're insured. We know that for Iowa DNR. But say if it was MoDOT or Illinois DOT or Minnesota or Nebraska, who knows at that point. But if we're accepting just Iowa's, then we can, and frankly, then we can get rid of that form like you talked about, I think. There's still benefits to having,
Would we check if they come from Illinois or Missouri or Wisconsin or whatever?
Currently, we do not, they would have to give us proof of insurance and complete the form, but we don't check or get anything to see that it's currently registered with their state.
No, but I mean, do we require people from out of state to provide that certification of insurance? If we required of Iowa residents to have a DNR sticker, they've already proven to the DNR that they have insurance to get that DNR sticker, is the way I understand it. So
I don't know how they prove it though, but unless by them just signing the application to register is proof of, or that they're stating that they have it.
it's a state requirement to get that licensure, I don't know, or to get that DNR sticker, so I don't know what process.
do they fill that out online?
Yeah, I don't know the inner minutia of how they do that,
Yeah.
but if you read the code, that's one of the requirements.
Yeah, I mean, it comes straight to us, so if somebody buys an ATV from Illinois to register it, they come right to our office. And we don't see proof of insurance, unless they want the county permit, but just to register it through the DNR, they don't show anything to us.
So they get DNR registration through us without getting the county registration?
Right. I mean, if they want to register that unit, it comes to the county recorder.
Okay.
So if they buy a brand new one from a dealer, the dealer is required to send us the application, certificate of origin, and sales receipt. I guess the point being, I don't know where they are, unless just by signing the DNR application, that they're stating that that unit is insured or not.
Just because they're registering at the DNR doesn't mean they're gonna operate it on the roads, so they aren't necessarily getting a permit for the county.
Correct.
You have to have a DNR registration no matter what you use it for? Just on one?
Unless you're farm exempt,
Oh,
like farm, but.
The farm exempt, I think, still requires the current DNR registration.
Yes, the only thing exempt for us would be for tax purposes.
Okay, gotcha.
But, yeah, there is no farm use registration. But they should always register it, just especially for transfer purposes, because then they're not gonna have anything there.
Did there used to be a farm use?
There's a farm use code that allows them to use it for farm use, and that code requires them to have current DNR registration.
All right.
So they have to stay current on the registration, and for transfer, and if they sell it, all that has to be
I mean,
current.
years ago, I don't know when it changed, there was actually just a farm use registration, it never expired.
Right.
Where these ones now expire every year. So farm use, the only thing you can be exempt for would be sales tax.
As far as for the insurance on our end, if we have an encounter with somebody, then the ordinance requires them to have proof of insurance, and it's a motor vehicle when it's on the roadway, and we would treat it as a 320, as a motor vehicle code violation. So just like, that's probably where we would cite them under, is a violation of not having proof of liability insurance as opposed to a violation of the ordinance. So that when they're on the roadway, it's a motor vehicle, and it's a motor vehicle under code. So they have to have proof of it while they're driving, and that's the way we would cite it.
Natalie, are you saying that you would rather have them have to show proof of insurance when they license, when they come to get their, when they license it through the county? Is that what you're saying?
No. For them just to get a DNR registration, which is required, a state registration, they do not have to show us proof of insurance. That's a state. I guess what I'm kind of requesting is, if they want to purchase the county permit, we require them to complete this application, name, address, stating that they do have insurance, and they certify that they are going to, abide by these rules. And we also require them to physically give us a copy of their insurance.
And so all vehicles on the road are required to have insurance? Well, because when I go to get a license plate or renew my driver's license, I don't have to provide proof of insurance. I'm assuming that's understood, that I don't have to have it plus on the roads, public highway.
It's actually enforceable in parking lots and whatnot, because it's a part of the code that says you have to use the road to get there.
You're just looking for a way to get me.
But yes, a motor vehicle on the roadway, there's some exemptions, there's some fleet exemptions and some government vehicle exemptions. But if they're operating, like in this case, if they're operating an ATV on the roadway, outside of the farm exemption, which you have to be bordering your property or doing some other things, then you'd have to have that proof of insurance with you under this ordinance.
Look, I got a question for you. Golf carts are not in that ordinance. Correct. But I know in Danville I can run my golf cart, but I don't have insurance through my auto. My homeowner has got a liability on there that's got my golf cart covered under.
Yeah, as long as you meet that requirement, if it meets the motor vehicle, and I think it would be considered a motor vehicle.
So if I'm on the street with it, and let's say 20 miles an hour, because my golf cart will go 24, and I get it picked up for it.
How do you know?
Huh?
That's a good point.
They've got that little radar thing, You've seen them, Trent, haven't you?
I have, yes.
So I know it'll run 24 miles an hour, so I have a speed.
It's just ratting himself out, 18.
So then, I wouldn't have proof of insurance, and you would treat me like a motor vehicle because I'm on the road, because it's on my homeowner policy.
Yes.
But you
would bring that into the court.
What's that?
He would still have the authority to write the ticket, because you still have to produce your insurance.
Okay.
So you better be carrying, if you're gonna do that, you need to be carrying your homeowner's policy with you.
Yeah.
Because part of the code is you have to provide that proof to the officer at the time of the stop. And the way the code is written, you would then come to court, or you could go to the clerk's office and show them the proof of your insurance. They would dismiss the ticket and you would have to pay the court costs.
Same thing
But
with
the code says you have to provide proof of insurance to the officer at the time it's requested.
just like a motor vehicle. And you can still get, if you're driving an ATV down Sunnyside drunk, you can still get an OWI.
Yes, you can.
Because you can still hurt somebody, so.
There have been
You can
arrests
get
for
that
people on riding
I know a guy that
lawnmowers.
got one on a lawnmower.
You can get that in a private field.
God, I'm glad they didn't enforce that when my dad was alive.
What about a scooter? Like a wheelchair scooter?
It has
Yeah.
happened.
I feel like I've heard.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was gonna ask
That's
about
funny you
that,
said
because
that.
one
I
of
seen
my
it
YouTubers
wasted.
that I watch, he's like,
Over at Hy-Vee.
what's the deal with that? Cause it's,
Speaking of, I seen somebody just the other day, she was wasted, she stays drunk, I'm gonna say her name, but she's got the scooter. And she scoots over, she must live, I don't know, but she goes to the new Hy-Vee. And she drives that scooter across the street, stuff through the parking lot, goes into Hy-Vee, and she's hammered 24/7. You know what I'm saying? Well, how do you do that? I mean, she's riding it in the street, right at the edge of the street. So I mean, that's where do we draw the line on that one, Miss Lisa?
We've had officers actually arrest people for OWIs and motorized wheelchairs, so.
They're drunk.
For being intoxicated, and they've been arrested for OWI.
Especially when it creates a public safety issue. I mean,
This lady has.
and if there's been warnings issued, there's been trying to create deterrence. Obviously, we don't want to see it come to that point. That's not the goal, but we also have to keep the public safe.
This is interesting conversation.
Wait, let's get back to Natalie's application.
I think what Natalie's saying is it's the law that if you drive a motor vehicle on public highways, gravel roads, any public roadway, you have to have insurance. And, you know, they've gotta have that anyway, so is it necessary for her to ask for that certificate of insurance?
That's what it boils down to. If she has them to sign that application, says they've got insurance,
I think you
even
have
though
one
they
in
don't
that
show
package.
proof of it,
Yeah,
Yeah.
somewhere.
and we're doing the same thing as what DNR is doing.
Sure.
Yeah.
So could we do that and then not have them to show proof, but just sign that they do it?
Yeah, and then keep the other state,
And
yeah.
then keep that copy where they stated they did have insurance?
You wanna read the paper, you wanna get rid of the
I would
paperwork
like to
altogether.
do away with this, but I understand, I mean, if we can't, we can't, I guess. Because it, basically, everything they're signing here, it states it already in the ordinance.
Yeah.
So it's like they're just saying, yes, I'm
They're
gonna do this.
acknowledging they're aware
Is
of
that
what's in the
required?
ordinance.
Yeah.
But even without
Is
them
that-
signing that paper, if they get stopped, they're getting ticketed and all that good stuff.
It's
So
the
you're saying
ignorance
we're
of
being
the law. I
redundant
mean,
with
just because you said, oh, I understand what the speeding law is, I mean, it doesn't matter that you understood it. It's not like being hired for a job that you understand all the policies and procedures. The law is the law and everyone is
ignorance is
expected
still
to
no
know it.
excuse. Right on, right on.
So I guess, would it be enough just by us giving them an ordinance once, if they've, or do we have to give it to them every time? And I guess selling them that permits, are those two enough that we can do away with this application and taking in proof of insurance?
Do they need to sign a receipt, said I have received?
I mean, that's kind
Yeah,
of
can
what
you-
this is for, but.
That's what I mean,
do
I'm
we
just
have
saying like
to?
a signature. You have, I don't know, you can have a sheet, you know, Tom Broker, Shane Campbell, Kevin Glendenny, Jim Carey, you know, just each
I
one.
mean, we do actually keep a spreadsheet where we write down the permit number we sold to them and the DNR registration and their name. Maybe they could just sign.
Can
that.
we just avoid the sign-in, so we not necessarily have to have that, and just give them a little, with some things, they just give you a little paper that says, make sure you got insurance, sucker, this is still a vehicle. You can give them that, anybody that applies for, you know,
Have it like on the back of the sticker, so when they pull it off, the backing off, they have all the rules right
to just
there.
squash it in, and it's a done deal.
Our sticker is
Yeah, it's a tiny one.
tiny.
But even if you could do like a half sheet that basically states the basic stuff, what you need,
That they take
or
with them,
fill
that
out
you give
with-
them, this is yours.
because the bottom part is what you mainly use for your own records, isn't it, or
Yeah.
not?
And it's,
That's gonna be the same thing.
we take it, index scan it in. I can tell you, I never had an issue or had to look one up or been requested to.
Well,
Is
I
this
I guess if I may, just quick, to your point of the form and doing it contemporaneously with the DNR form, if you have the DNR form, you're telling us you already have all that information that you need for the county form, so the county form's redundant, is that correct?
And just paperclip the regulation, the ordinance, the little booklet or whatever you've got to the sticker.
Yeah,
Write your
that's
check
fine, I mean,
and
we may
that.
have to update that here too
No.
in the ordinance, because it does state that ATV, UTV owners may apply for a permit by application of the county recorder's office. And that the county recorder shall issue a permit only when the owner has provided the following: operators 18 years of age or older, which I guess we've never been told to verify age. Proof that it's registered with a DNR, which usually they'll have that registration and just show it to us. And also, proof that the operator, that they have liability insurance.
I guess I would defer to the attorneys. Is there any particular reason we need to do that or have that in there?
So where is it now?
Sheriff, do you have any thoughts on that?
Requirements and conditions.
I don't, it doesn't affect us on our end. Obviously, we want those that are gonna ride their ATVs to be aware of the code. They should be. I think it's just kind of an extra step to say, hey, here's the code, just make sure you understand it and acknowledge it.
So 532
Can we,
is.
but don't you think we can still leave that to them without having her have to have paperwork or something to take back with just a sheet of paper that says these are the rules that go with everybody that applies for that?
Yep.
What it is.
And we could probably even develop this ordinance into a small booklet that we can just Xerox, so that she's not Xeroxing the whole ordinance with all the other stuff.
Sure,
Otherwise
just make it
you can-
available.
Just make a little booklet, you know, a homemade booklet or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so.
That would be great.
Because it doesn't have to have all the guys' signatures on it, and the approval dates and everything. It's just an ordinance number and when it was recorded and approved and amended, and
Also part of.
just make a little
To be by application.
Or you can put it on booklet size Xerox paper.
It is, needs or is compliant with insurance requirements of the, and then you could take out.
If you'd known it was this fascinating, you'd have been down here every week, wouldn't you, Tim?
Timmy! He said no and shook his head. I appreciate that
Sorry, Kevin, I missed it when I think Tom asked you, are you okay with that, with not having?
Yeah, it'd be, as long as when they pick it up, if we just express, you know, we have rules available, here's the ordinance, just be in compliance. And I don't know, Terry mentioned maybe like a little, like,
Maybe
handout.
we can create the ordinance itself into like a small booklet, brochure or whatever, because it doesn't have to have all of the official ordinance and who created it and who signed it and all of
Well,
that, just approval dates.
The DNR already has it, and they can go to it, and DNR has a lot of extra stuff that we don't, like for kids, if you're gonna have kids, and it has classes, so if we put, and we're not allowing kids to ride on the street with this, but DNR is saying, hey, they've got a lot of safety stuff within their thing, so to direct them to that isn't a bad thing. To say, hey, you need to check out the DNR website, or even maybe we could ask them if they have brochures already and use theirs, because theirs is much more.
Well, she's
They
got
have
that
this.
there.
Yeah, exactly.
Do they send us stuff?
Yeah, these are free.
Or maybe have like just a one-page trifold thing,
Yep,
and
and
just stick
insert
it
the
inside that
size,
booklet
yeah.
that has the specific county code.
What, any other thing there you changes your?
I just think that citizens would, a lot of times, even though we've had this for what, 3 years now, they still come in and renew every year and don't have their insurance, and either we have to turn them away, or they have to call, and if they already have to have it, it's just, yeah, why do we have to take it? To make it a simpler process.
I don't think we turn away, like Tom said, you could go get license plates, not show a proof of insurance. And if Kevin picks them up, write him up the same way, you know, as somebody that doesn't have insurance. It takes the monkey off of our shoulders.
So we would do away with the application and requiring proof of insurance, change this resolution or ordinance, and then maybe come up with, I mean, is
A
this
sample.
book enough or come up
Trifold.
with something about the county?
Lisa mentioned a little trifold, you know, you get handed out all the places. Got some of the specifics of Moines County on there.
Yeah, so I guess I would just need to know what would need to be in that, because we would need to put all of this in there, right?
Yeah, most of this, when I went through and compared them, we're really, like, the only one regulation that was not, that we have, that they didn't have, the biggest one had to do with in streams that they didn't have, and we have one that limits and has language, so they're not supposed to be riding ATV, UTVs in navigable bodies of water and streams, which all makes sense going back to saying that this was originally done as a way to protect the levees and that drainage system over there. But otherwise, that's, I mean, what we got is almost pretty much guaranteed it's gonna be in that package. Now, I did have one language, section 3, paragraph 1, which I think, when I read it, I think it's saying that if somebody's on a UTV, ATV, whatever, driving down the road, and it's a paved road, and they go past so like you could.
Gravel road, you can't.
Yeah, so,
You're
yeah.
almost supposed to go to the next gravel road.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So the only way they're gonna be able to enforce that is if you see them pass it from one gravel road to the next,
Yeah.
right? You know, you physically, or a deputy physically sees them go by a gravel road. Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to enforce, because where'd you come from? Where are you going? It's kind of,
But at least it says it.
but at least, I don't know. I mean, we could keep it there.
Because I've
You
been
could argue the
behind
same
some of
for
those
speeding, it only
UTVs
counts when
going
you
down
do
in
it
front
for
of
the
us.
officer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I think it makes our intent clear.
Yeah.
We don't want them on the hard roads anymore.
I think the intent was, as long as they know they're not to do it, we're hoping the vast majority of people don't do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can keep that one then. There's a curfew one in there, I don't know if we wanna keep.
Four to 10.
What's that, yeah.
As long as the debate was on the curfew, we probably ought to hang on to that one.
Better keep that one in there.
Okay. And then, section C of paragraph 1 of section 4, paragraph 1, C, I think we should delete that. C and Q do the same thing. Q just matches the language that's in the Iowa code currently. So I think we delete C, and then we just have Q, so. And basically what C says, you can't have multiple people, and then Q says you can't have more people than the vehicle is designed for.
I agree with you.
So section 5, that, what we've talked about, we've already been through all of that. Except for paragraph B, section 6. What that does is that says the sheriff can deny permits, kind of as you want. The problem with that is we got due process equal protection clause. So what I'm recommending is we just take that, move that down to section 7, the penalties or sanctions phase, whatever you want to call it. And then if somebody receives a violation, then they can take it, or, I put may, we could put shall, but then you're leaving ATVs sitting on the side of the road. If it's shall, it's like OWI said, right? But then you could take that permit and, pending that adjudication of that citation, and if they get cited, because it's a simple misdemeanor, we have the ability to go up to a year in probationary periods. And then I like the idea, and I think it's a good idea to be able, if we have somebody that has multiple violations, to be able to say, okay, you're done. I just don't know how we get there within the counties of that.
Well, if there are multiple violations, they would be multiple highway violations, wouldn't they?
There would be, I guess if we're gonna go that route and remove the insurance section, then there should be that should be added to the ordinance itself, because that's gonna be your typical violation, is going to be the insurance, the fail to register, those kind of things. If it's gonna be a violation of the ordinance, or if we just put in there any violation of Iowa code or local ordinances on an ATV or UTV, something along those lines, it would justify a revocation of the permit.
I like what you're saying. So, yeah,
Or
yeah, you're
violation
spot on,
may result
or
in.
any traffic violation. Yeah, I like that. Because then you have the whole panoply of the traffic code, plus this county ordinance. Yeah, that would work, we can do that. So, because, you know, somebody could, because you're right, somebody could get an OWI on an ATV, and then we're not gonna be charging them based on this statute, because all we can do here, all the county has the authority for is a simple misdemeanor. You're gonna be charging for that OWI.
The state law.
The state law, yeah. So,
Yep.
but then they're gonna lose their license, and so the fact that we have a license, driver's license requirement will cover it for us.
I'm not opposed to anything you propose. Good.
Yep.
I think probably if you wanna make those changes to the, in an addendum, that way you don't have to.
Yeah, and just state that, you know, whatever section, if you're deleting a section or if you're replacing a section with new wording or something like that, just reference all the changes, and then we'll bring that amendment to the board for review and approval, and then the little booklet thing that we come up with can address all the changes. And that way you can add that in as an insert or whatever.
Okay, that's easy.
Are you fine with that size of the sticker? I mean, ours is really small. Do you need it bigger?
I would love
Not
it.
sure why they went with that size.
I would
don't
love
know.
it to
Wants a
be
bigger sticker.
bigger and visible.
Okay, so we usually keep it the same color as what the DNR does. Is that good? That way, you just kind of can look at it and see the color, there should be both the same. But-
Do you want them the same color, or do you want them different colors to show that you have both of them?
I'd be okay with either way if we're looking for multiples, that'd be okay. Actually, a different color might be beneficial. What I don't like is sometimes, so like we have our own sticker and Danville has her own sticker, and sometimes you have to get too close to see that there's a registration sticker there. So it's nice to have it a little bit bigger and visible. I know that's not aesthetically pleasing to some of the ATVs, but.
Right, because they all want one.
It's a
But
safety
all
issue
these
for us
different
to be able
counties,
to,
and you end up with-
to be able to see it.
I can cover my Danville sticker up with a postage stamp.
I know. And sometimes when we're trying to see if that registration
Yeah.
sticker is there, you have to get just way too close to it.
So what color is the DNR one?
Right now they're red, and our county permit is red, but it's what, 2 or 3
Does the
close
ordinance say it
enough.
has to be on the same side? I can't read.
The DNR ones just has to be,
Clearly, usually
Like-
the rear, clearly visible.
on one, parts of the DNR code says it has to be visible, and parts of the DNR code says it has to be on the person of the operator. So it's not clear, that's for them to figure out, but.
I would yield to the sheriff on the color and the size.
We want fluorescent orange, Kevin?
I'm open to anything that's visible, but fluorescent
What's
orange would certainly
available,
be.
Natalie?
But he definitely wants bigger.
Probably anything, like I said, we just always kept in the same color as the DNR, just that way, I guess you would think. If you see red and red, you know you're good. If you see red and green, the green one's expired.
So our ordinance says that all permits shall be issued to a specific ATV, UTV, and receive a specific decal for that vehicle. The decal shall be affixed to the rear of the vehicle along with the current DNR decal so that it is clearly visible. So I don't mind them being the same when you're
So we're
looking for
basically-
doubles. I would be okay with that.
Let me know what you'd like like to see?
The-
Like to see it the
same color is
Okay,
fine.
but maybe bigger?
Sure.
Okay.
I like Terry's idea, fluorescent pink.
I said orange, not pink.
Oh.
And are we good on the fee of the $25 still?
Yeah.
That's where we're at it?
I wouldn't have raised it. I think Henry County just put theirs in at $50.
Who did?
Henry County.
I was gonna ask you what's up. If you
Most-
change that, you're gonna end up having multiple public hearings.
Most are $25. Boone does do a $10 plate, one-time fee, and the plate stays with the machine.
We don't have that, where the plate stays with the machine?
It's for, like what you just read.
The
for-
decal is specific to the machine, but we don't do a plate.
But if they sell the machine, I guess we've always, yeah, they can't take it off that machine and put it on their new machine. They'd have to come in and purchase it.
I think we're good. I would have went a little bit higher, but, obviously, the executives don't agree with me, so. We
I'm
had
good
an
with it. I
extensive
think
conversation on that. What?
I mean, it wasn't, the fee just had to do with the additional insurance, you know, that
Yeah,
what it
sure,
would cost
yeah.
and
Yeah.
some of the stuff, so. Yeah, I mean, I do think $50 is extreme.
That's too extreme. Matter of fact, we had a guy come in here and he just bought a new machine, he had about $2,300 in it, and he growled because we had a $25 fee.
I know. Yeah, when you see them purchase these, I mean, some of these are, like you say, in the 20,000s or more.
Well, that's what I said, his was $2,300.
Yeah. Like, Louisa County doesn't require,
That same guy bitched because he had to buy a tag for Minneapolis. He's gotta buy a tag for Waffle because he goes up there. He's gotta buy a tag for Danville if he comes to town.
I think we're good on the fee.
okay.
So, if, without any further ado, we will
Do you have any other questions, Natalie?
adjourn this, and we will have the work session with Mr. Fensel in about 5 minutes.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Natalie.
office with Tim Fensel with Danville Telecom, Board Supervisor, regarding broadband and the American Rescue Plan funds. And I apologize, that first work session took a little bit longer than I thought it might, but
No worries, no worries. Gentlemen,
You didn't have to remember. Oh, thank you so much. I was gonna say, you didn't happen to remember me.
what I'm giving you is, it's a map of the state of Iowa, version 4 from the Office of Chief Information's Office of underserved areas in the state of Iowa for broadband. And when you look at Des Moines County, all of the white area is areas that are considered served now. What that means is that those areas can get broadband speeds in excess of 80 megabits per second. The areas that are in blue, the lighter blue, not the darker blue, are areas that are not getting 25.3 and above. And the areas
25.3.
25 megabits per second download speeds and 3 megabits upload speed.
Okay.
And then the dark blue areas, and there's only one that you can really see, actually two, in all of Des Moines County. Those are areas that are getting under 25 meg down and 3 meg upload speeds.
Why would that one particular area be moved? Is it a hard to access area or?
Well, if you look at the area on the southern part, kind of in the light blue there, you can see Iowa Army Ammunition Plant.
Yep.
I don't want to run fiber in the middle of the Army Ammunition Plant for 0 customers and 0 homes.
Yep.
So that's why that particular area would be underserved.
But
You'll
I
see
was
the
just
same-
wondering, that dark blue is only right here, it's just north of Burlington a little bit. Wondered what that particular,
It may be an area that there are no homes. It could be an area that nobody has access to now. When you look at the areas along the river, you see the same thing. You know, you see areas that.
oh, yeah, I do.
Now, the darker blue on the very southern part of the map, that's down by Weaver. That's in the Green Bay Bottoms. Now, there are homes there, but they're very, very sparsely populated. And that ground there is, you know, subject to flooding quite often. So, anyway.
Am I seeing this right, that there is some areas in town as well?
There may be
Okay.
areas in town that are considered unserved or underserved.
Okay.
But you have to keep in mind that the census block is what the OCIO's office goes by.
Oh.
And there are thousands of census blocks in this map that you're looking at.
Right.
And so if a particular census block, let's say, includes an entire cemetery, and that's the only thing in that census block,
No one's running a line through there.
nobody's gonna run a line through a cemetery.
Which census block?
A census block? It's a geographical representation done by the state to basically identify an area. There's no rhyme or reason to how census blocks are built and or created. They were done, I don't know.
Oh, they've been doing those for years, because we use those same census blocks to determine our precinct populations and to change precinct boundary lines and stuff, so.
So, one of the issues that broadband has had is, in most cases, they use census blocks to identify areas that are underserved or served with adequate, what they consider adequate broadband speeds. If you have one home in a census block that is getting, let's say, high-speed internet, and the rest of the homes in that census block are not, then that census block may be not considered underserved, because one home or one business is getting high-speed broadband. So the intent that has been working through the system for many years is trying to get down to the granular level to identify, do all the homes in that census block truly have broadband service? And at the same time, get the providers like myself, the wireless providers, the WISPs, which are wireless, fixed wireless providers,
get all of us to report locations that I can serve with my service and what levels of service I can provide.
Well, and I apologize, you probably have a number of dumb questions for me. A WISP is a fixed?
Correct. So traditionally, a fixed wireless or a WISP provider, wireless internet service provider, is a transmitter on a tower, and then from that tower it transmits to a fixed device in your home, as opposed to a cellular device, which is a mobile phone, that also uses signals from a tower. So that's the distinguishing differentiator, if you will, between a...
We're dealing with fixed boxes. On a cellular tower, now, is 4G?
4G, 5G, LTE, those are all on cellular devices, cellular towers.
So is that area considered served if it has 4G?
Depends on what level that provider submits that they can cover an area with. In most cases, wireless cell phones are not included in a map trying to determine whether or not they have reliable service.
We're just dealing strictly with stationary stuff here.
WISP providers,
Right.
so the fixed wireless, traditional copper or traditional telecom companies that do copper, and then your cable or coax. You guys probably know of MediaCom. They're a traditional coax provider, and then there's fiber providers like ourself and Mediapolis, for example. When you look at this map, if I would actually pull up the state of Iowa map, there's a lot of blue areas in the state of Iowa. And in some counties, there's a lot more than what you guys have in Des Moines County. For example, Henry County is very underserved if you look at them compared to Des Moines County. Lee County is considerably underserved when you look at their area compared to Des Moines County. I believe that that's because if you look at the area that Mediapolis covers and the area that Danville covers, we provide fiber internet to those consumers, and we can deliver 1 gigabyte by 1 gigabyte speeds to all of those locations. So if you take all of that rural area that Mediapolis covers and Danville covers out of the equation, well, that's why your map looks like it does. So in comparison to other counties, Des Moines County is in pretty good shape when it comes to rural broadband, if you believe what this map shows.
Have no reason not to believe what this map shows.
I have lots of reasons to believe what this map shows.
You just
Do you?
said,
Yes, sir.
Oh.
you
Now,
just, I'm sorry.
because all the white stuff you say has got the broadband in.
Above a certain level of
Above a
speed,
certain
yes, sir.
level. So, okay, I was just thinking, I'm sorry I made that statement then, because I was thinking this here is the only part that's not covered up here around Yarmouth and
Around Yarmouth, coming all the way down to just a little bit west of Pleasant Grove.
Yeah.
There is a little piece that is, I guess it will be what I consider the Mississippi River Valley that's north of town, you know, where some of those homes are on the other side of the levee.
Yeah.
That area there, and a lot of the river is considered underserved. A lot of the Iowa Army ammunition plant is underserved, and then also by the coal plant, or the Alliant Energy power plant down there.
Right, Sullivan Slough.
Sullivan Slough, that almost in that entire area is considered underserved. There are a couple of pieces that are in between Middletown and Beaverdale, and then there's a couple of little areas that are northeast of Beaverdale, kind of in between Flint Bottom and Gear Avenue, in that general vicinity there. And again, there may not be any homes in that area, and that's why that area is underserved. Obviously, the Beaverdale area is not an area that's no population. It's just not served at a level that the state considers adequate. Federal government, for that matter, too.
What are they supposed to be? I know the ARP says it's supposed to be X number of bits, and I apologize if Colin's familiar with my
IT knowledge.
IT. But anyway, but is there a certain number that says you know, that it needs to be above this number, above 100, above 50, or above 25 or something?
And I think a lot of what I have heard about American Rescue Plan is that they're looking to get areas that are underserved under the 25-3 threshold, which is the dark blue areas. If you look in the state, in the county, there are no dark blue areas minus 2 little pieces. So I'm not sure if Des Moines County has the ability to fund anything in this ARP with a 25-3 location, simply because according to the map, there are no.
I will, and I think I've seen that. I will, before we make sure I get your email address, and I think I can find the applicable section, and that you'll be able to understand for that.
Now, from the different talks that I've had with different counties, I know that one area is focusing on the 25-3 for their funding. I know another area is not focusing on the 25-3, they're focusing on anything that is underserved. So even the light blue areas, they're focusing on.
And the light blue areas are 50 or 75? Or?
They're between the 25-3 and the 50 by 5.
Okay.
Or 50 meg down, 5 meg up.
Okay.
The differentiator from the state level is if I apply for funding for NOFA number 6. So the state of Iowa has NOFA number 6. Applications are now open, so I can submit an application to the state. If I submit for an area that is a tier 2, which is the 25-3 to the 50 by 5, in that range there, the state funding is 50%. If it's an area that's 25-3 and below, the funding from the state match is 75%. And if it's an area that is above 50 meg, but under the 100 by 100 that the governor set as her ultimate goal, then the funding is 35% from the state as far as.
55.5 is, you say, 25%? 50%.
50%.
50%, the 25.3 is 25.
The 25-3 is 75%.
75, okay.
So the more need that there is, the greater the state will fund your project. So the light blue areas that are in Des Moines County, the state will fund at about a 50% rate.
Another one of my questions, to get service, is if I visualize it, okay, you've got a trunk line or something that goes so many places, and then people can take it to their home, or does this take it to everybody's home? I'm just assuming you take it to the area?
No, sir, we would take it to the individual home.
So you take it to each home that would be in that census block?
Census block, yes, sir.
Okay.
The construction cost for fiber, and a lot of people ask, well, why don't you just deliver fiber to everybody? The construction cost for fiber, to deliver fiber 1 mile is about $30,000. To bury fiber 1 mile. So in an area where, let's say you're out by Yarmouth and you have a 1 square mile area, and there's one farmhouse on that 1 square mile area, to deliver fiber to that one farmhouse is gonna cost $30,000. There is no point at what that customer will ever pay a monthly recurring fee that I will ever make my money back on building to that one last mile. That's why the state and the federal government are looking at subsidizing these communication companies to get to that last mile.
So the state is willing to pay the 15 grand or?
They're willing to help us pay for part of that.
Well, if they're gonna pay for 15 grand of it, right? If it's blue, if it's 25 and 3?
Depending on, again, the level of service that the consumer has. So if it's dark blue, the state may pay 75% of it.
Right.
If it's the light blue, they may pay
Well, they'll pay up to
50% of it.
50.
Up to 50% of it, yes.
Per customer.
No, sir, it's
Per
not.
end of the mile.
It's the whole project. So when I put an application in,
Okay,
and I look at a grant area, and
I got you.
I'll share this with you guys as well. This is confidential, if you would please. This is what we're looking at doing. Go right over your heavy duty. I knocked you over your heavy duty. I didn't
no
print
roll.
enough of these.
Oh, that's okay, I'll steal one of theirs.
Okay, so if you look at this, and if I can, my computer done.
Got it.
Gotta see my face. What I'm gonna share with you guys here, if you can all see it.
Oh, easy.
So the red area that you're looking at there, the dark red area, that is the outline of the Danville Exchange, or our service area that we already are going fiber to the home to all of those locations. These purple areas are what's represented in that cost estimate for just Des Moines County, not for Henry County, because this piece that you kind of see in orange, that's Henry County. But I have a desire, and I have customers that are calling us asking for us to bring service to their area in, outside of Pleasant Grove, north of New London, south of New London.
I don't
down in Lowell.
get very, very good, response in Pleasant Grove, just throwing that out there. I have to be there every Sunday, and I just can't get into that hardly. I just figured I would say that since he's here.
So these purple areas are what I'm anticipating applying for in the round of funding. My application has to be into the state OCIO's office by the 28th next week. So what you see in the blue is what I'm proposing to my state application that I would build. And when I build that, I would build 100 by 100 megabits per second capabilities. Actually, our fiber would have the capabilities of doing a gigabyte by a gigabyte to every single home in those census blocks in that area. If you look at that sheet in front of you, the cost to us if we do that is about $2 million. And I think it facilitates service to 200 homes. Possibly. I'll give you my information.
Tim, that includes part of Henry County there, right?
Yes, sir. Well,
No,
the
it's-
price estimate does not.
This is Des Moines County, yeah.
But
Just Des Moines County.
This
here,
is just Des Moines
okay.
County, and if you want, I can zoom in. So what you're looking at in the blue areas, that's Des Moines County. And then over here, this is the Beaverdale area.
Yeah.
This green area is south of 34.
Yeah.
We already have service in that area. The ethanol plant is a customer of ours. There's a power substation there as well. We have fiber to that. So this area in the green is already served, but what we're looking at is just north of the 34 Raceway, Beaverdale, etc.
Yeah, okay.
So to cover those 212 homes, we're looking at a cost of about $2 million. I'm not sure if my math is correct, if you could help me, but I think that comes out to about $10,000 per home at $2 million in 200 locations.
Yeah.
And that's if I get every single customer to take our service for the next 10 years. I might break even. When you think about $50 a month for internet, times 200 homes, how many years? It's quite a long payback.
It's gonna take you a while, brother.
So that's where the state, the federal government are looking at this, and they don't look at broadband anymore as a luxury. They look at broadband as a necessity. We saw that 2 years ago. I'm in your report. I agree.
Nice one, Colin.
You know, when the pandemic hit, it just emphasized how much we rely on broadband and how much broadband is a part of everyday life, just like water and electricity is. So, in 1930s, I want to say, the United States went through electrification of the United States. We're trying to go through that same process again, but now it's with fiber optics. So, anything and everything that the county would do that would be willing to help us build out those areas, fund part of that, we would be open to. Again, Tom, I know that you had said you're gonna look at the rules for ARP, but I'm not sure if those rules are clear yet on what you can and can't fund.
And I'll be honest with you, probably not perfectly, but I'm almost sure in the ARP that there's, says this is what we mean by underserved areas, and it's got those 25, 3, or 50, and there are actual numbers in there. And I can't recall those numbers off by, but I will try to get that out to you today so you can see those actual numbers. But and I'll copy you on them too, Colin. But anyway, yeah, we did. This is something, you know, that we know is a possibility and we know is important. And I talked to you, and I know is it Mark from Mediapolis was unable to make it today. Is he looking at something similar?
Yes, sir. So Mark has got a good hold. His fiber optics is already done in most of their areas. Go over here to.
He did run outside of Northfield there where he's not at.
Can't see without my glasses anymore. Getting old.
You got that right, David.
Certainly not something I'm looking forward to.
You're a young man, you've got years, right?
See? He knows how to deal with this.
Are you just trying to get better enough to get some money?
Yes, that's a good start. You and Meepo Telecom are the only fiber providers for ISP or in Des Moines County?
Well, incorrect.
Okay.
Windstream or CenturyLink. CenturyLink does provide some fiber optics, predominantly to larger businesses, and maybe in the city limits. Mediacom also will provide, it's a technology called DOCSIS 2.0. They provide fiber over coax cable. They can deliver speeds that I'm aware of 100 by 20 meg. Lisco is a company out of Fairfield. They have some fiber in Burlington, but they only serve only serve businesses.
But they're not very good, they're kind of lower level, aren't they?
I don't want to talk ill of my competition. So I'll just leave it at Mediacom, Lisco, CenturyLink,
Meepo Telco, and Danville.
Meepo, Mediapolis, Danville. I'm trying to remember if I'm forgetting anybody. I think that's it.
It would only make sense for us to support the local Des Moines County people.
How on this map, can you go back to the map you had before that show us what you cover?
So that's what the red area and this purple. So this area, that's what we currently serve, which is, it's about 70 square miles.
Is this Danville or where's Danville?
Danville is right here, right in the center of it.
Okay, Danville's right here. Okay. And this is and that's 25 to 50, 25.3 to 55, whatever.
In this area here?
In this, in the red area. I mean, it's below that.
No, the area in the red that is our service territory. What we what we submitted to the FCC is that we can provide 200 meg by 200 meg to every home in the Danville Exchange, which is about 70 square miles.
Oh, okay.
We can, typically, physically, we can provide 1 gigabyte by 1 gigabyte, but for the purpose of funding, we don't overstate what we can provide yet, so.
Appreciate it.
But the lighter areas that you see, the shade behind all of this, those are the areas that are considered underserved by the OCIO. That's what's represented.
So there's that
This
double.
here is right here.
Okay, so you go up to about somewhere in there.
We actually, we'll go right to here and kind of down this way.
Okay. That's this area there.
That's this little piece right here.
Okay.
We do have some service in Henry County, because our service territory includes Geode State Park. So we go almost into Lowell, we're just on the outskirts of New London is our current service territory. And then just south of Pleasant Grove as well. So what I was showing you on this other piece is what Mark is proposing that he may do.
I've been there before.
That was on me.
My computer just went.
That was Hiroshima.
What?
It was.
We go there. What's nice now?
Oops, let me go back again. So what you see in this darker orange is what Mark is proposing.
Okay.
Which would be right about the same.
So this is east.
That's Minneapolis.
That's Minneapolis.
So basically,
around.
would be this piece here.
West of Nepo.
Okay.
West of Maple, and all the way to, and again, this is private information.
Yeah.
Live.
Could I use general numbers, like instead of like the area, just be like, he wants to provide home internet and it would reach about 200 people and it would cost about 2 million, and not like specifics?
Yes.
That's what I deal with this all the time. I just want to make sure that those general enough, which is why I'm not looking at it, because I don't want to know, because.
So that's what so in our map of Des Moines County, he would be looking at like, yeah, right. If you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
He's basically gonna go right
Quick a couple times.
right there. This is what he's looking at, and this is what I'm looking at.
Okay.
Along with this. Does that make sense?
Oh, you're right in here then.
Yep, this right here
Yeah.
would be us,
Yeah.
and then this would be Revo. But he's gonna also go there.
Does he have similar number of homes, or do you know?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know that he has his engineering data done.
You have to turn this in next, or a week from Thursday or?
28th.
The 28th.
28th.
28th by 5 PM is when our application window closes.
Okay. And so you're gonna apply for this with state funding?
Well, I'm not sure yet. I've got to get the numbers crunched, because I did mention that we're trying to do this in Henry County as well. And we have some discussion with the Henry County Board of Supervisors that may also facilitate doing that piece there. We're also working with Lee County and trying to facilitate some expansion there. Lee County does have a number of 25-3 and below areas in their overall OCIO map.
That you would get 75% for?
Correct.
If you're
But trying to partner with an entity down there that would do a lot more than just those 25-3s.
Yeah, do you, if, say, I'm assuming you have to break the project up according to the, whether it's 25-3 or 55, and say, okay, we've got X number of census blocks, or whatever it is, that are 25-3 and below, and number of census blocks that are 55 to 25, and then they would figure your funding accordingly. You get 75% of cost of this area and 50% of the cost of this area, and whatever that might be.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, and I'm sorry, Tom, I know you told me to call you Tom.
Oh, that's fine.
50 times, but military service is ingrained in me, and I will always call people sir and ma'am, so. In an application, I can submit an application for multiple different tiers, tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, and the state then looks at that application as a whole. However, I have been asked if I'm going to submit applications to maybe submit an application as Henry County alone and Des Moines County alone, so that it's easier for a county entity to look at it and say, okay, we want to make sure we're not funding anything outside of our county limits, so we may look at doing 2 applications for stuff that will interconnect, if you will, but making sure that we delegate each piece to the individual counties, that as long as we can, or as much as we can within the census blocks.
Sure.
And that's the tricky part, because one census block is through Des Moines County and the other half of it is in Henry County, so how do you split that up?
Yeah.
It's fun,
Yeah.
as I'm sure you know.
How long would it take to do the work, or when would you start, when would you finish, and is it a year job, or?
The OCIO and the state grant process gives you 4 years to complete the project. It wouldn't take 4 years, but it's also not gonna be something that I'm gonna be able to get done in 12 months anymore. Supply chain, I know you guys hear about it all the time. Trucks that are parked in parking lots because they can't get computer chips. Well, a lot of those same companies that make computer chips are also the companies that make fiber optics. And the more projects that the federal government and the state are going to fund, the more that the project materials are in demand. So we've even had to plug in additional costs because the contractors are charging 10 to 15% more because of the rush of everybody to get the projects done. So my estimate would be anywhere from 18 to 24 months before we would get it completely done.
The only time constraint that those ARP funds have is it has to be committed by December 31st, 2024, and it has to be spent, completed by
26, I think?
Yeah, December 31st, 2026.
So we wouldn't have any issue with again, if the county were to, and the Board of Supervisors to look at it and say, okay, we can fund this because it fits in the ARP criteria, and what Mark is doing, maybe there's some funding there. We wouldn't have any issue getting it done by 2026, and certainly wouldn't have any issue getting it done by the state's deadline of the 4 years either. It's just, it's not something that, you know, when you, well, you live in Danville, Jim, and when we told you we were bringing fiber to Danville, it's been not quite a year yet. So, it's not something that happens overnight. It takes a long time to get done. As you guys are very well aware with all of the other projects that you do, roadways
And I'm on Mediapolis Telco. We got it several years ago. We live out in the rural areas and we got it several years ago and we like it.
Well, don't want to go back, do you?
Nope.
Well, I'm all for it. See where we can come on that. See, we'll make sure the rules are there for us.
And as you guys, I'm sure, can appreciate, I can do only so much within my budget as well. So every time that I get assist from the state or an assist from a local government or a county, it certainly is helpful, and it just, you know, doubles or triples what we're, you know, capable of doing. The Danville exchange itself, when we first looked at it, it was gonna take us 3 years to get it done. But with NOFA 3 funding that we got from CARES Act grant, we accelerated our timeline from 3 years, 36 months, and down to 12 months. because of the funding that they were able to shoot our way. So this is not something that's gonna be fixed overnight, and it may be something that we will be back here a year from now talking about again, or in 10, 12 months. You know, as I understand it, there may be another round of ARP funding coming as well. You know, if that's the case, you know, there's a lot of other projects that I know you guys are looking at. So we may be taking a crack at this application a year from now or 9 months from now, whenever the OCIO does their next grant window.
Well, like go here, my top priority right now is public health. So,
Yes, sir.
getting them moved. But this here's definitely clear up the top of the list too.
Well, thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree with Jimmy. Public health, we gotta make a move on that. But that being said, one of the main conversations that comes up in a lot of boards that I'm on is internet and how important that is. So, no, I hear you, Jimmy.
We want everybody to have the same access that Miss Johnson's got on hers.
It all depends on what you pay for it too.
Oh.
And that is true. But part of the onus on us is making sure it's affordable and reliable. And it's not something that you're going to, you know, every time it rains or you have a severe thunderstorm that it goes out. Or, you know, one of the keys I think that you would probably attest to as well with Mediapolis is when you call us and you have a trouble ticket or you have issues, that your issue is resolved within 24 hours. It's not a week from Thursday.
How deep do they bury fiber?
We follow the code, and I say that tongue in cheek because, again, I don't want to talk ill of my competitors. We follow the code. If we're in the city limits, we're at least 18 inches deep. Any main fiber that we are burying, so if it's the main trunk, if you will, or the backbone, we put that 40 inches deep. If it's in town, it's in conduit, period. There is no exception. If it's in the country, then a lot of times we can direct bury or plow it in, if you will. Except when we cross roadways, culverts, ditches, that all has to be bored underground. And that bore can go anywhere from 40 inches to, when we went under the Skunk River, is it the Skunk? Yes. When we went under the Skunk River, I think we're 32 feet below the surface of the water.
You guys doing right. Yeah, there is a company that they're known for, I heard they were digging like 8 inches deep for fiber, so I know what you're talking about, man. I'm in a Burlington, brother.
We
Don't worry, I'm not writing anything down.
We had an incident 2 or 3 years ago. We were trying to feed West Burlington Ritters, their greenhouse there on, that's
Sunnyside.
No, that's
Burlington Avenue.
Burlington Avenue and just behind the car wash there.
Oh.
So we had to cross underneath agency. So we did a dig and one of our construction contractors had a shovel and he got about 6 inches down and there's a fiber. I don't know how that got through. It was not in conduit at all. It was not 18 inches or 40 inches deep like it's supposed to. I don't even think it was permitted, quite honestly, but it's, again, not for me to.
I've heard that.
I spent a day talking to a really excited insurance agent. 20 odd years ago, we were further. We had a job over on Park, Kansas, or down around Kansas City, and one of our guys, we had cranes, maybe we had a forklift around, and they hit a water